recorded. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, first off, Daniela and Eric, thank you so much for saying yes. There may be some people that pop in because I just sent out the reminder text and people might get it. But there's like people who are saying they have family over and totally get it. Like Daniela was saying, with kids, it's hard to manage a busy life and busy schedule. So I get it. So I may do another one, and I'll also do some one-on-ones, like I said, but I definitely am going to put together a survey that I'm going to send out, kind of like a Google Forms. And so no matter what, if you get that and you could fill that out as well, just because it'll give them some data that they can use outside of just the recordings. Let me see what this person's saying. I can do tomorrow. If that works for you, not free until, hold on one second. Not free. I'm trying to multitask. Not free until noon. Okay. So, but what I will say is this recording's not going to go anywhere but to them. And they reached out to me. I'm the LGBT liaison for the city of Fresno. My name's Robin McGehee, and I have lived in Fresno since 1996. And the reason that I think they asked me is just because over 22 years ago, before my son was born, we started a group called Kids Like Us. And it was an LGBT parenting group to give parents a chance to kind of network and meet other parents. Because I had as I knew I was pregnant with Sebastian, I was starting to look for childcare options, and I had run into some terrible horror stories from people who had had negative experiences. And I was like, oh my God, I got to find more LGBT parents to ask questions about, like, where do you take your kids, and, well, what school you go to. And I wanted my kids to hang out with kids that had families like theirs. So that's where Kids Like Us kind of started over 20 years ago. And now it's still going on. There's families that organize this adorable couple, Reggie and Maria. They're kind of the leaders of it right now under Community Link. And Community Link is the parent nonprofit that kind of gives them a space to organize out of. Today they had an aero jumping house. I think it was Aerospace. I don't know what the name of it is. But it was a jump house event where everybody went to this place that had trampolines and they hung out. And then next month they're having an ice cream social, but they always are trying to get families together. Same kind of idea, so families can, network, but also so kids can hang out with families like theirs. And so I think that's why the zoo kind of asked me to put this together. And they're not here because they didn't want to influence the answers. They wanted y'all to be able to speak freely and openly and say what you wanted to say and not feel like you were going to, sugarcoat or not say something because they were in the space. So I have set questions that they provided. I am going to send that out in a survey as well. So if you're willing to fill that survey out as well, just so I can give them some of the data points, that would be awesome. And then if there's anything else that you want to add at the end or questions that you have, you can ask. And what I will do is kind of start it off so you can hear kind of what my answers would have been, just to give you an idea of kind of what has been said before.
Okay.
Or as a frame of reference. But it ended in like 30 minutes the last time that we did it. And we had 3 families on the last call. So it should go fairly quickly. Any questions before we get started?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So Daniela, do you mind saying one more time kids and ages, and Eric,
Sure.
if you can do that that way? I didn't do that on the last call, but I think the zoo would love to know that.
Sure. So, I'm from Bakersfield and I have a son. He is 2 years old. He's going to be 3 in May. And I have a baby on the way due in September. So, our family's going to have 2 kiddos soon.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then my name is Eric Pangrath. I am here in Fresno, and I have 3 boys. My oldest will be 14 in a couple days, and then I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Awesome. I love
I
it.
like that.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So, the first question is, how often do you visit the zoo, and what is your favorite thing? So anybody can go. Oh, I'll answer first. Okay. So
Oh,
I was going to do the first thing. So I go at least once a quarter. And sometimes more often when there's not schools. I take my niece and nephews, even though my kids are older now. But my favorite things to do is I like the events things. So like the lights that they do at the holidays, and then being able to do some of the giraffe feeding and stuff like that. Even though my kids are older, every time we go, they still kind of want to do that event type activity stuff. So I really love that they go the extra mile to have something that feels more interactive. So that would be my favorite thing. Okay, who wants to go next?
I can go next. I would say we probably go a little bit more than once a quarter. We like you said, it definitely in the summer, heading out there more often. And then my favorite thing is definitely feeding the giraffes and the elephants. I think my son really enjoyed the giraffes this last time. I think he was less scared.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
For me and my boys, I think when they were younger, I think we had really took advantage of the membership. And so we would, when they were younger, I would say almost every weekend was the thing. And we would only go for sometimes an hour.
Yeah,
My three boys, they have disabilities. And so whatever they could tolerate
right.
first, right? And as they got older, I would say maybe every 3 weeks, once a month, if anything now. And again, we just do different exhibits a little bit at a time. We don't do the entire zoo. I would say for me personally, my favorite activity at the zoo are the family events,
Mhm.
or the community events that they host. On days that we go that they do not have one of those, I think being around other people, like the bird show, is one of our favorite things, just because there's opportunities for like socialization for my
Yep,
kids, kind of be around other kids.
love
Um,
it.
what we look forward to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great answer. Okay, so are you a member? And so my answer is I have been a member for a very long time, but I always let my membership lapse by accident, and then I'll get it. And being a busy parent, I don't think I wish they had like a automatic renewal option. They may even have that, and I don't even know. But I know in the past I haven't seen that. But I have been a member, and I always, whenever, like after I do this, I need to go online and join again. But that's my excuse for not being a member right now. It's just craziness of life.
I'm currently not a member, but I'm open to it, especially my little guy's getting more active and
Yeah,
needing more entertainment, so that's something that's easy for us
yeah,
to do
yeah,
and not so hard on me as I get more pregnant.
yeah, yeah. And affordable. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, we this year we did not renew our membership just because I noticed that the kids were wanting to go less.
Mhm.
And then the new rates, we just found like the factored in like how often we might go
Mhm.
to the cost saving of it. So this year was the first year, I would say, in 8 years that we have not renewed.
Wow. Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. But you were members that long. That's awesome.
We've been members for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how much did it go up? Is that what do you know if the
I think over time, like
oh,
I
just
would
over time, yeah. And then
over time,
based on how often you were going or not. Yeah,
yeah.
totally get that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So next question is have you been to a Pride event at the zoo, and how would you like Pride to be celebrated for your family at the zoo, no matter what your answer is?
I actually haven't gotten to go. I want to go. I'm very excited when I see it pop up every time. I don't know what it is, but something's always happening over here that we have
It's
to
because
attend.
Pride is so busy, or June is so
It
busy.
is, it is, it is. And then my wife's a music teacher and she plays in the symphony. So sometimes it happens to be her weekend of concerts.
Got it.
But just honestly, I just love that there even is a Pride Night. Just the fact that we're even being acknowledged as a community is in and of itself amazing. And honestly, they could just put rainbows up around and I'd be happy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I got it. Yeah, I feel you.
yeah.
And I didn't answer, so I'll answer in between,
Oh,
Eric.
sorry about
No, no,
that.
no. It was me. I threw it, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't do what I said I was gonna do. So I did not go to the first year. I went to the second year, and I think this will be the third year or the fourth year. I'm not sure if it's the third or the fourth. But I went to do you know, Eric, if this is the
It's gonna
third?
be the third year.
It'll be the third year. Okay, yeah. So then I missed the first one. I went last year, and then obviously the one that's coming up. But if I was to answer that question of how would you like Pride to be celebrated for your family, I think the biggest thing is just like you said, having it and knowing that it's a day that signals our families being validated, and having that space to see families like theirs. That's the biggest thing for me.
So similar, I did not go the first year, um, just because it was so publicized, and I was kind of concerned about my kids' safety and what could potentially happen, and so I just was worried about that, and so we didn't go the first year. The last year we did go. I think with the Pride Night, I'm glad that it exists. I think that the organization of the event itself. So my background, I'm actually an activities director for schools, and so just thinking about like the organization of it and the type of businesses that are invited to their Pride events, I think it's there's still some untapped resources that are out there that I think the zoo can still connect with, and I think that some of the activities were great, but I also felt like there were some missed opportunities within some of the activities.
So any idea, like what would you, and are you saying like the first part of the answer, are you saying more sponsorships to show community buy-in that, would sponsor a safe zoo family event? Maybe not do the Pride Parade, but they like the partnership with the zoo, and you can see which organizations or corporations might support that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that's an opportunity for the zoo to build those relationships, and then for us as uh, patrons of the zoo, I guess, as visitors, to be able to see like, okay, these are businesses that my family will be safe in, and that I would be wholeheartedly willing to support because they are allies, and that
Yeah.
and so I think just diversifying the vendors and businesses that come out. I think that some of the programs could be, I don't know how to say it. I just felt like um
There's no filter. You can say whatever you
no,
want.
like just me coming from like an organizational aspect, like from just the big picture of it, I think that there could have been some opportunities to fine tune some details within just how the flow of the event itself was. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was a little messy at times.
Okay. And you're saying when at the event, the day of the
Yeah,
event. Okay, perfect. Okay, got it. Okay. So you wanted it to flow a little bit differently and have more structure.
yeah, I think it was more fluid than I liked. I think for
Yeah.
me, structure a program that kind of like help we can follow along a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, good. Thank you for the clarity. So that kind of gives them a little bit more to look for. Okay, so next question is when what part of the year would such a celebration be most convenient for Pride? Is it June? Is it another time of the month? What would be your input about um Pride at the zoo? And I have an answer, but I'm not going to influence your answer. So,
Personally, I think October.
okay.
And doing the zoo lights or the zoo boo and all of that stuff at that
Yeah.
time. It's also LGBTQ History Month, and I think because June is so
Packed.
full of different Pride events and activities, citywide, nationwide, all over, and like
Yeah.
my family, like my kids, we go to LA, we go to Seattle, and so like
Yeah.
we're out of town. It's summer, and our families are traveling, and so
Yeah.
I feel
And it's hot.
and it's hot, yeah, and
Yeah.
so like in October where it's LGBTQIA History Month, that we can focus on some history, maybe tie in historical leaders of the community throughout the zoo, and
Yeah.
like having some facts and things hidden around the zoo that almost like a scavenger hunt type thing, like just something. It doesn't have to be in June during Pride, because Pride should be every day, right? And so I think recognizing history, because I feel like a lot of people forget that October is also History Month.
Yep.
That was a great answer. Yeah. I was going to go for May just because I was like before June because it's not quite as hot, but I love the idea of October as well. Just also not as hot.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
and National Coming Out Day on
Yeah.
top of history? You got the national. You can
That's right.
come out to the zoo, for
Yeah.
Pride.
That's true.
Something like
That's
that. Yeah,
true.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. Great idea, Eric. Okay, so let's see. At other Pride celebrations, what do you find most meaningful? So when you do go to these prides outside of the zoo, what do you find most meaningful at Pride celebrations?
Um, Well, there's a lot of things. But I'll start with one time I saw I don't remember if it was a door or if it was a window, but we were sticking like inspirational messages, and it was like take one or leave one or both. And it was like people writing kind things like you matter, it gets better, or whatever it was. And you could take one too if you needed one. And it was kind of just like somebody's here for you and you're there for somebody else, and your kind words matter.
Yeah.
And it was really meaningful. I think it might have been a door, kind of like a it's okay to come out or something, kind of
Yeah.
symbolism kind of thing. That and the like mom hugs and the dad hugs. For
Yeah.
some reason, I always tear up and choke up watching that. Like
Yeah.
people melting in these like mom hugs and dad hugs. And yes, we're all moms and dads, but we've all got our own little like traumas from whatever happened to us. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think those
That's
are the most meaningful.
those are great.
Yeah.
I'm going to approach it with two different lenses. The first one is like the parent lens, and I think it's important for us to find activities and things for kids to do that have families that look like theirs. And so making sure that there's kid spaces available for them to be able to partake in. So I enjoy going to different festivals, and when they call out that there's going to be like designated spaces for children and kids, because Pride can get a little risque in certain parts of the parades and things like that. And so having a space where
like a kid zone.
That interact with other kids, and parents can interact with other parents and just be in a space together, and then really tailoring the vendors that are around that will be focused around families and community supports and rallying around that. And then a different perspective for me is like from the teacher lens. I work at a middle school, and we take our kids to Pride every year. We walk the parade with the district, and we do all that. But like, I feel like giving them spaces to have a voice is important. And so I know this might be off topic of the question, but like as the zoo continues to plan for this event, have student voices and youth voices on their committees to kind of ask them what they would like to see as well. And maybe even considering doing a day for schools to bring kids on a Pride Day on the zoo. Because I think that would be a great opportunity as a field trip of some sort.
Yeah. So like partnering like Fresno Unified's GSA clubs, or, some type of LGBT focus, and especially if they tie in the LGBT history within. And the last time that we had this call last Wednesday, one of the family members said, maybe highlighting books that were about same-sex partnerships in the animal world, and maybe having an author from one of those books attend, and there's a reading and you could go to that, and whatever. So I thought that was a good idea too. And then The other thing that you made me think of, Eric, is like the part about the partnerships. And, if a family has unique needs based on their family dynamic, maybe partnering with Central Valley Regional Center where they have certain types of activities for young people that are there that need that extra, assistance, or provided a community of where there's kids that are just like them that have unique families, but also unique needs. And that Central Valley Regional Center is also providing services in that space at the zoo. So a fun space to, have that kind of support and conversation. Because one of the other ladies Wednesday night said, it's hard to convince her kids to go to the zoo, but she said if now that they're teenagers, I also don't feel comfortable just taking them to the mall and dropping them off. And she goes, but if you told me I could go to a pride day at the zoo and there was going to be a teen zone and I knew that my kid was going to go over from 3 to 4 to the teen zone, and I could hang out and talk to other parents while my teenager was actually having a teenage safe experience. She goes, that would be really cool. And then the other parent was like, yeah, but if we could go to the splash zone and watch our toddlers play while we visited, that would, so I thought that was really interesting that the parents were looking for ways that their kids could interact while they interacted with each other. So that very good points. Yeah. And I would say that, for me, what I like about the most meaningful thing about Pride is the sense of community that creates. And I do feel like the answer that I gave last week was like even going and watching the bird show, just sitting together as a queer community and watching that together, the jokes that get made or whatever. It's fun knowing that I'm with the queer audience instead of, just with I don't mean this to be mean, but the breeders at the zoo, the straight families that are there. The jokes sometimes don't land the same way, And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool, like you were saying, Eric, where if it was more of a fluid program where I knew, okay, everybody's going to be at the bird show at this time, and then you're going to break off to these different events or activities around the zoo, crafts or whatever. That might be a fun way to do it as well. So really good ideas. Thank you all. Okay, so let's see what okay, so this one's kind of tying in, but from a different angle. It says, what do you believe would make local pride events more meaningful? So what ideas would you give that you think would make an event more meaningful? And obviously through the lens of the zoo.
I definitely think the idea that was mentioned earlier about speaking about animals that either have had a story, like the penguins, the gay couple of penguins that were able to raise the chick, sharing stories like that, or maybe about animals that maybe they just self-reproduce or whatever it might be, just featuring more of that, showing that they're just like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
It's okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
I think the zoo has opportunities to collaborate with a lot of different folks, whether it's authors or even artists, and they can host like a paint thing or show artwork of animals, but it's by queer artists, right?
Oh yeah.
Or literature or books by queer artists. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily be the story, like what is it, Tango, the penguins, right? It could be any text, any author, but maybe queer authors, and maybe have portions of the zoo designated to be like quiet areas, and they have little readings throughout the zoo in the spaces of these animals, in the Asian kingdom area or the safari area by the giraffes, and they just have seating and where these authors will hold readings of their texts or show an art gallery of their work, or and kids
poetry of the
just bringing and highlighting our queer community, the people in the community and the work that they do, and then maybe having extension activities, whether it's a book and then maybe an arts and craft activity that connects to the story, or the art activity that ties back to, if it's someone that's painting, the style of painting, and then maybe we do a mini painting project related to that. They have that private area, the grass area off by the cheetah that they can use as a space. They have the just I'm just thinking of all the different areas that people can float around, and it would obviously, because of materials, because of the supplies that we would need for, there would be a special event pricing or anything like that for that. But like, I just feel like that would be such a great opportunity to utilize the spaces in the zoo to highlight folks in our community, to bring us together and to see the work that we're doing. And that, I get the pride, I get the celebration, I get all of that, but there's more to our community than just the rah rah, like
Right.
loud, proud, and gay.
Yeah.
That more to what we do in our own communities and the work that we do. And so I think giving spaces for folks to showcase that would be so amazing. And even bringing our youth to be able to see that, like, these are people that, if you are identifying as LGBTQIA, that there are role models out there that are doing good in the world, that they've also had to overcome some tough situations of coming out, and here they are still standing, and here they are still doing well in their lives. And I think that's a highlight that the zoo could potentially do with the spaces that they have.
Yeah, I love that. And I was even thinking like they could, if they did it early enough, they might be able to have submissions, like, submit this artwork, and then they tell the young people, or, the community members, your stuff is going to be highlighted at Pride. Or, you can read your story. Your story has been, selected to be read at Pride or something like that. Yeah, I love that idea. Very cool. Okay, any other comments, thoughts, things that you want to share before we end?
No, I'm excited to see what they come up with.
I know, me too. Yeah, me too. And I will tell you that the other night, it was October, that the other group went towards that as well.
Cool.
Because they were like, it's just so many things in June and it becomes overwhelming, and it's the weather's good in the fall as well. Why can't we just do it in the fall? So that may be something that's on the horizon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And your baby's due in September, Daniela?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
So
I
you
can
have a
attend in
newborn.
October. Yeah, I'll bring my newborn.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming, and I will send out that link. You're getting the emails, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
perfect.
just saw it late.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So I will send that out, and just send me your answers whenever you can. And I thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Awesome. All right, you too.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.